Professor Anastas, Professor Warner, Professor Robert Peoples, my friend Mr. Nitish Mehta, very distinguished participants in this wonderful industrial green chemistry workshop from both overseas and India, distinguished members of the Academy, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, guests. Very, very good morning. This particular first time held industrial green chemistry workshop, I'll remember for many, many years, because this is one occasion I tried my very best to stay away from. And Mr. Nitish Mehta was very particular that I joined you. And he went, a very persuasive man. There's no question about the fact that whatever he does will succeed. I thank him for persuading me and make sure that I participate in this program, in spite of certain other odds. If you had a meeting to attend the previous day and undertake travel to the US in the night, you wouldn't like to travel, have an in-between journey to some other place. And that was the challenge. But then when Mehta decides, everything happens. Thank you very much. One would ask the question as to why one has taken so much of effort to participate in this meeting from the standpoint of everyone who has assembled here. It's not just me, everyone. It is industrial green chemistry workshop, and it's also being held for the first time in this country. As a practicing chemist in those days, I never realized there is a chemistry for industry and a chemistry for the laboratory. Chemistry was chemistry. But then, when you add the word green chemistry, without the industry, that chemistry has become useless. That's the challenge. And I always looked at chemistry like a monochromatic beam of light, white light. Then when you put a prism there, you get green, red, and yellow, and so on. And the chemistry that we are discussing today as green has been seen from the prism that actually disperses this monochromatic force. And in this particular instance, it is industrial scale applications of certain aspects of chemistry that become very relevant and very contextual. Sometimes what seems acceptable in a relatively smaller scale in a laboratory becomes unacceptable the moment you go up to the industrial scale. You have no choice. And you are producing waste, and that waste are still in milligram quantities. One doesn't worry about it. If that waste becomes a very significant quantity, then we have to be really seriously concerned. And if you, as my friend Mr. Nitish Mehta mentioned before, this famous Bhopal incident, it's remembered for wrong reasons, of course, because a large number of people died. But the chemistry was a simple chemistry, truly. And therefore, the lack of appreciation, understanding, or of oversight of a small principle has led to a loss of several lives in the system. Therefore, one looks at this green chemistry from the perspective of who is seeing them. So, one would ask the question, who is seeking green chemistry today? That's a very specific question that you must address. Truly, a green chemistry practice should be driven from the perspective of the user, the demand, not the supply side. Unfortunately, very many aspects of chemistry that many of us practice follow the principle that the chemists discover, find new things. And then they've got all the solutions for the problems that they're looking for. They have to go with it and ask for somebody, can you use this? So you are finding a user for the knowledge that you have created. But in a green chemistry perspective, the problem exists already as a serious one. And the industry is facing the problem, and therefore the question is, can the scientific community, the research community actually solve the problem? So we have to reverse the question on its head and work on the process. Now I'll share with you some of the real life anecdotes, at least to qualify for being here with you today. Because Mr. Nitish Mehta was very particular that I participated, and I don't think he did it because I'm secretary, because he thinks that I have some experience to share with you today. And this question then is who is seeking it, why do we need the green chemistry, and what is truly green chemistry, and how is it done? These are the kind of challenges that one has to address continuously. Of course, we have now written the nice principles in the system and what we should do to ensure that the green chemistry is observed. But it is simply the practice that makes this whole process so challenging. And in my life, I had the unique experience of crossing swords with Supreme Courts all the time. I don't understand why Supreme Courts find me an easy plot. In my very early phase of life, I spent tremendous amount of time on working on chromium chemistry. I don't know why I ended up in chromium, that's a different matter. But chromium has been an area of research for a long time in my life. And there was a time when the United States has this problem, the famous case, where the chromium pollution had caused social discomfort to many. And looking for somebody to give some technical advice. I was in 30s at the time, I used to live in the US. And it turned out that I had a task to address this question of why this chromium problem, what is the technical element concerning with this process. And this did bring certain focus in the kind of science that I did later on. So I was telling my friend this morning, about 22 years ago, I held a workshop in Chennai, greening of chromium-based industries, and brought industries to discussion to bring the scientists in the country. I asked them whether we could really work together to solve certain lingering problems of the chromium-based industries in this country. Of course, at that time, the terminology of green chemistry was probably not very fashionable and not used. But the title of the workshop was Greening of Chromium-Based Industry. Since then, we have been able to really put on ground in real field applications 12 different technologies relating to chromium-based industries in this country to bring it to day-to-day practice. And I will therefore share with you the experience in actually making green chemistry practice reach industrial application. I'll later on come back to you my desire to make this green chemistry initiative that you have taken today to become a movement in this country to a proper coordinated effort. In fact, I recall a couple of anecdotes which will in some sense narrate to you the pain and pangs of a man who had struggled hard to get the green chemistry practice going into applications. There is a industrial sector in this country which uses a considerable amount of chromium for its manufacturing step. Those men who wear leather shoes in this country and in this hall may kindly note you have about 8 to 10 grams of chromium on your feet, because that's the amount of chromium that is used for making leather in the world. Globally, if you use 10 grams of chromium for manufacture, about 6.5 to 7 will go inside the leather. About 3 to 3.5 used to go outside in the waste stream. It's a considerable amount of challenge later on. It is a trivalent chromium, but in certain circumstances, especially when you have a manganese contaminated or the river Ganges brought manganese into the system, it used to get oxidized as well. And we came back and said this is not a good idea. We should not allow this chromium to go into waste stream, water stream, and so on. So I went ahead and gave a set of 3 different technology options for applications about 20 years ago in this country. And all 3 are very different kind of approaches. We looked at the waste stream containing chromium, analyze the chemical entities, look at the molecular species present in them, and avoided the formation of those molecular species in the first place when the manufacture of this compound was made, raise the absorption levels to 95-98%, and then recycle, you get nothing to discharge. But that requires another set of operation. Then we found several simple methods of application of recovering and reusing. But nobody will take me seriously. And they said that people in the industry thought that I was trying to do that because I was trying to get some money for my institution, for my consultancies and contract research. So I went to one of the factories and said, why don't you put this up? You're easy to apply. And this person said, why should I do this? I don't waste anything. I said, is it true? He said, yes, very true. And we don't have any pollution problem and all that, and nobody's pollution control board is not asking me to do. Why are you asking us to go through this practice? Is it because you want to sell your technology? I said, no problem. I don't want to sell your technology. I said, how much money did you spend on purchase of the chromium salt last year? You say you have a fantastic documentary of inventory control. Then he said a finite amount of money. Very good. And you are also analyzing in your all your leathers how much of chromium is present inside. Yes, I have. So you know the total production? Yeah, total production, you know. So now you calculate how much went inside the leather and how much was missing. And it turned out that it was missing 30% somewhere. I said, you waste 30% of your money. Look at this.